I think
Not.
I think Jew has kind of a little bit negative. Don't be scared to fail. Using your phone is good if you're using it for the right reasons.
This message has transformed from him to me. Now this is directed at me, and that is charisma.
I'm like fangirling right now. I feel like. I don't know.
Like, it's up. Yeah. Joining us today, not only my nephew Xavier,
Hello.
who had his first jiu-jitsu experience yesterday, which will be on next week's vlog. I'm pumped for.
Jiu-jitsu.
Just jiu-jitsu. That's right. And our very special guest today, Shlomo. Would you please do the honor? Hit us with your official title, intro yourself, and I want you to do this in the most interesting man in the world type of calm charisma, but also hype man way you can. Like, gas yourself up a little bit here and give the people who we have today to listen to.
And now our feature presentation. No, I'm just kidding. But hello, everyone. My name is Shlomo Simpser. I am a dad. I live in Los Angeles, California. I have three beautiful children. I work for an organization called NCSY, which is a Jewish youth empowerment organization, where we work to empower, connect, and inspire Jewish teens. And I am the Valley Director of LA. And it's a true honor to be here today to join this incredible podcast and to have an amazing, amazing discussion.
Ooh, baby, I love it. Now, father of three, this is three sons. Most recently, how old is your newest one? Because we're not so far out.
No, we're not at all. I have three sons, as mentioned. One is a 5-year-old. One is turning 3 tomorrow, or no, the day after. Dad brain, I know, right? And 2 days from now, and then he's a Valentine's baby, actually. And then we try to do on the holidays, right? So
Oh yeah.
the second one is a Valentine's baby, and the third one, the most recent one, who is 3 months old, was born on Halloween. So
Ooh, I love it.
yeah, as a Jew, as a Jewish guy, we don't really celebrate those holidays. I mean, we celebrate Valentine's Day every day,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I feel you. But there's some significance around that, for the other folks out there that, they could celebrate and have additional reasons to celebrate your little ones.
Yeah, celebrate my kids. Whenever you're having those holidays, just remember it's my kids' birthdays.
Yes, for sure. Okay. I want to give a little bit of a background for why I'm very excited for us to be having this chat, and a brief backstory from the moment where you and I met and fast forwarding up to where we are right now. However, before we get to that, can you just give us a like 3 quick chapter summary of your life? Where'd you grow up? What happened in your life that led you to where you are as we sit right here today?
Absolutely. Okay, so I was born in Miami, Florida, and when I was 3 years old, my family, we did a lot of moving in my life. We moved to Des Moines, Iowa. I grew up in the Midwest majority of my life. I've, as mentioned, moved around. We went to Milwaukee for a year, Wisconsin, and then we had a stint in Minneapolis, Minnesota for 7, 8 years. And then my family moved back down to Florida, and I went off to Israel to go study in similar to a seminary, but we call it in the Jewish culture a yeshiva. I met my wife in America, but we dated in Israel and got married in Israel. And we lived in Israel until COVID, until literally March 15th, 2020. We got on a plane. No one really knew what was happening. We got on a plane to California to visit some family, and we got stuck at that family. It happened to be my in-laws. We got stuck there for the year and a half of COVID, or at least until we felt it was good enough and safe enough to go and live our lives again, as everyone did.
Yeah.
And then we moved down to Orange County, to Irvine, California. We were there for about 2 years working for the same organization, NCSY. And then a year and a half ago, we moved up to LA. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we are today. Yeah.
Beautiful. A traveler, which is great. I love that. Been around a little bit. And what a cool love story for you and the missus.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Mhm.
I feel like there's in any community or any group or any culture of any sort, if you can connect with your partner in the same sort of like these are core interests or core values or core areas that you're spending time, which is what you did, and then you throw in a little bit of exotic adventure and travel and all that stuff, it's like,
Mhm.
how's that not a recipe for love?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. And we, I mentioned earlier that we have a plethora of mugs.
Yeah.
Every state that we go to in the United States, we try and get, if you go into Starbucks,
Mhm.
each Starbucks has a Been There series mug. So we collect a mug from each state, but only states that we have been there together. Meaning, I've been to
Mm.
almost. My family used to do road trips all the time when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I've been to almost, I think it's 46 states, including Hawaii and Alaska. Traveled a lot. Thank God, I've been blessed to be able to do so.
Yeah.
And I've been to most of these states, but I've only been to about 20 states with my wife. So we're working on it. The more and more we'll have to come and visit, the northern hemisphere where it's negative, a million degrees. And and
Yeah.
we'll have to collect another mug from your city.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, do you have Washington State in there yet?
I personally do, but not with
Not
my
together.
wife. So
Got it. Okay.
it's
Yes.
definitely
Open invite to you and the family.
absolutely
Absolutely come on up. We would love to hang out, show you. I mean, there's some stunning nature and cool things to do around here, but if you want to get out and just get in it and just get connected and not have to travel on a crazy journey. I mean, hop in a car, drive 20 minutes and you're like, "Whoa, this is a different world."
right. Yeah, we
Yeah, very cool.
we would definitely be down. We'll definitely have to make arrangements. That'd be so fun.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so by now I think I don't know exact dates, times, but I want to say it was probably 2 years ago that we met. I recall it was right when you
Mhm.
landed kind of the promotion for the region. I think it was the week before that even kind of went out, where your role of being what are you, the regional director for
I'm
NCSY?
I'm not the regional director, but I'd one day maybe. No, but
Yeah.
coming for your job. No, I'm just kidding. But no, so I'm the director of the Valley, and before I was the director of Orange County of Irvine,
Yes.
California, or Orange County, and it was really the chapter that it was. Um, so it would have been probably, it was 2 years ago, probably in like April or March or something like that,
Yeah.
at a golf
Yep.
tournament.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Yes. So I was out helping raise money for NCSY, and it was basically, my passion of golf and fundraising for different charities and different organizations. I was brought out, didn't know you, didn't know anybody. It was just, kind of like the hired gun for this event. And immediately when I met you, I was like, there's no way. It was just one of those connections that I just loved your energy so much. And I got to spend the next 6 hours with you on one tee box at the golf course in Las Vegas, where we talked about all kinds of stuff. Your humor was able to keep up, which is not common when I'm like, I haven't really exposed like my humor on my online persona per se. So when you get it in person and like someone can keep up this way, it's wildly fun. It is wildly fun. And my nephew, he could speak for this too. He knows that just our family is this way. It's not like a unique thing to me. He gets roasted by both of my brothers, one of which is his dad. And
Yeah.
we just, we toss it around like that. So when I met you and right off the bat, I kind of start tossing like little jokes and sarcasm and stuff. And your speed of being able to keep up and fire back was just, it was such fun banter. And then
Oh,
on top of that, you got to school me a little bit about like, hey, here's what this money actually does. Like, yeah, okay, it's not always clear when you go out. I go out and raise money for an organization and I might think it's this one thing. It's like, oh yeah, this is going to help youth and it's going to help them with education. And it's like, oh, cool. I'm all for that. And then you find out like it's helping youth to educate something that you really don't believe in or that you're like totally against. And you're like, whoa, 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 where did
got it.
that take a wrong turn? Right.
Sure.
So it was so cool for me because I went out there knowing that I'm raising money to help youth. And it was like, help youth travel and connect with their culture more. That was like what my understanding was upon showing up. But then you got to school me with some firsthand experience of you and like your time over in Israel, and the impact that this has on the actual kids that get to go and experience this stuff. And I liken it to anybody that grows up in a different nation, land, or anything like that from their like home people getting a free trip for them, more or less, to just be like, hey, we want you to just go and be around people who share a lot of commonalities with you and just be in it, just explore it. And then, yes, you're going to learn a lot of stuff along the way and everything like that. This is my summary of it. And I'm hoping you'll correct me on a lot of these things.
I'm not going to correct you. You did well. I just wanted to give a little bit more context. So we were at a golf tournament, NCSY in Las Vegas, through a golf tournament as a fundraiser to hopefully bring in some more financial help to the organization so that we could offer scholarships to teens to come on our summer program, as well as to continue the work that we do in the Las Vegas community. So there are directors, there are people who work in Las Vegas, some amazing folk who work out there, and I happen to be very close friends with one of the persons who runs their program over there. Moshe Borvik is his name. As well as Yehuda Marilis. They're really amazing fellows. And so they were running this golf tournament, and they needed someone who had a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of information about some wines, specifically kosher wines and whatnot. And one of the things I did during COVID is I spent, I don't know, a year and a half drinking. No, I'm just kidding. A year and a half a year and a half just kind of engrossing myself in the wine world. I was living in wine country, and every day was learning something new, and I was with people who really knew about the different wine culture, how wine is grown, viticulture, the processes. I worked in a winery for a couple of days, and during the time, and it was a really interesting process, and I got to know a lot about it. So they brought me over to Vegas to kind of be the sommelier, kind of, talk up the wines and get people excited about it, while at the same time, Anthony was driving it was like you pay Anthony, you pay us, a couple $100 to make a donation. If you make a donation, Anthony will take one of your shots for you and helps you win down the line at the end of the I don't know much about golf. I know. Literally, I know whatever you taught me there. That's basically what.
That's why we were such a good team, though, because you handled the wine and we played off each other so well. It was like, hey, go grab your drinks, you sit back, you drink, I'll drive, and just enjoy the show, right? So I'd put on a little bit of a show, and yeah, it was, man, what a day. You were covering a lot of stuff I didn't know. I don't know much about wines, drinking, anything. I think that was actually the day I first learned of the word sommelier. I think that was it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have this day together under the beautiful sunshine, clear skies in Vegas, and just interacting with a lot of people that was your community, although this is a different chapter than what you're typically working in. So you also got to meet a lot of people, and it was just so cool to see the bond that was just instantly there in this community, in this group, with people, whether they knew you or not. And it was just like, oh, I don't know you, but I think you know this individual. And everybody was just kind of like, oh, yeah, of course. And so super fun day, had a blast, made sure to exchange info with you because I just loved your energy. I loved how you chose to live life. So what I want to do today, part of my game plan here, is I'm hoping to unpack a few things. One is your upbringing and things that maybe virtues that you were intentionally taught, as well as maybe some that you might have connected dots with that were not necessarily intentional, but you just found and created value in them, or if they just happened to land upon you. So that's one. And like, what has made the man that we're speaking with here today? Another, I'm hoping to see what you're doing and choosing to do consciously as you raise your boys, because I also have two young boys. Yeah. And this is top of my mind a lot, is trying to figure out, what did my parents do and how did they do it that led to the traits that I love in myself, in my brothers, even in my nephew, and how can I replicate those with a different era, so to speak? There's a lot of changing things from when we grew up. but how can I carry those over? And then I also want to see what sort of things do you maybe see that you didn't have and you're trying to implement and you're recognizing and you're conscious of, and you go, I didn't have this, but I want to make sure that my boys do have this as I raise them and they develop into their own beings. Is that cool so far?
That's a lot and great.
Perfect. And another thing that I just want to lay out, especially because of the the political arena and the happenings around the world and everything right now, just for context, because this won't come out for a while. Today is February 13th.
Mhm.
So I have a ton of questions that I want to preface with this. First, I don't know anything about the Jewish community or culture or religion or anything. Okay. So I want to preface with that. I also want to preface with anything that I may ask or that comes up in this conversation, I want to be taken as a conversation with Shlomo, not Shlomo, the representative of all people within his community and all of these things.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
I don't want to turn this into like, hey, you're the spokesperson, educate everybody on all this. Like, I don't want that. I want to have a conversation with you. I'm very interested in that. And I think that just because of my experience with you over to fill a little bit of a gap since we met in Vegas, a lot of online interaction from hopping on an Instagram live workout,
That's
YouTube,
funny.
and all these things. Yeah, like
Last time
you'll.
I worked out. It's a
But you
joke.
did it, and you just popped up like literally challenge accepted. There was no heads up or anything. You just happened to hop on live while I was doing an IG workout, and you were like, "I'm in, let's go." And I
Yeah,
just love that because you are, in my experience with you, as limited as it may be, I still feel like I have a decent read. You are just a 100% I'm in. If it's helpful, if it's healthy, if it's good, if it brings good, I'm in. And
absolutely.
that is something that is like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. You got to be all in.
Yeah, and I love this. I love this. So I want to try to kind of pull out some of these pieces that have made you you and see if we can find some formula, like somebody that's listening to this that might be trying to work on their personality or on their pursuit of their dreams or their life or whatever it may be. I'm hoping to pull something out of this conversation where they can go, you know what, the way that Shlomo connected these dots, it makes so much sense for me in my life. And now I've got another link to my chain to, like build my empire, so to speak.
Amazing. Um, so where do you want to start? That's really the best question.
Let's start with your upbringing. What things did you experience growing up that your parents or your community or just your family seemed to instill in you entirely on purpose and maybe even accidentally or unknowingly?
So, okay, so I'll start with a little bit more in the community, and then jump back into where, kind of some of the things that my parents, my father, my mother instilled into me. But so starting with the community, one of the key things about the Jewish community is obviously we're very insular, and everyone who's in the community, you feel like you're part of the community. You feel you can rely on people that are around you. You had mentioned before, like, oh, I saw some people that had come to that golf tournament, and they said hi. It's like, oh, this person over there. We call that Jewish geography, and it's literally a game. Any Jewish social event, it's like, all right, let's play Jewish geography. Oh, my cousin over there who lives in this city over there. Because the Jewish community, is small enough, big enough also, but small enough that if you're out there in the world and you're having conversations, you're meeting people, you're going to different synagogues, going to different communities. There's not so many people. I could say that I know at least one person who's in majority of the Jewish communities around the world. I
Right.
mean, just because of my interactions with different people. So the
Mhm.
Jewish community as itself is a huge support, and it's like a family in itself where it allows us to kind of rely on each other and feel supported. If we needed support in any way, we would have it essentially. And it's really beautiful to be a part of such a community. Um, and so one of the key things that in the Jewish community that a lot of focus is on, especially in schooling and whatnot, is, and specifically my schooling, was character development is in we have a book that's called um, I'm trying to think which one's the best one to discuss. We have a lot of books about character development. There's a book called Derech Hashem, which is it means the way of God, right? And it goes through the kind of the lifestyle that a person should live based on the Jewish Torah. The main parts of the Torah are about how to treat other people and how to live a life of positivity. There was a famous rabbi who once was asked to teach the entire Torah while standing on one leg. That's the story. Is someone asked him to teach the whole Torah. The whole Torah it's a pretty long book. I don't know if you've ever seen the First Testament. The Torah is the Bible, the First Testament, and the five books of Moses. And so he asked him, teach me the whole Torah. Within the Torah, there's a lot of other different pieces, also things we break down from it. Okay. So the rabbi said to him, his name is Rabbi Akiva, he said to him, okay, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, right? And you should love your fellow like yourself. Okay. And now the rest of it is commentary. And go study the commentary. He said the main part of the Torah, the main part of our learning is to love your fellow like yourself, to treat others in a way that's respectful, that way that you can really work and grow by learning from the way your actions are to grow as a person, to treat others properly and to give them the proper respect and honor that they deserve as what we call brios, creations of Hashem, of God. And Hashem means God in Hebrew. Anyway, okay, so from the Jewish community, it's an instilled foundational characteristic of improving on your personal characteristics, as well as to love other Jewish people and other people in the world, and to spread positivity into the world. You should be one of the key things in the Jewish world. Also, it's a lot of key things, but one of the beautiful things, one of the beautiful ideas that we have is that you should always walk around with a smile, with a panim yafos, a face that is smiling, that is showing positivity, because you don't know what you could do to inspire another person, to bring happiness and joy to another person. It's actually basically a commandment from the Torah to bring joy to another person, it's
Whoa.
to have happiness and joy. It's this, you have to, what is it? Got the quote. It's basically that you should live your life with happiness. Is actually required to live your life with joy and happiness. So that's an important Jewish foundational characteristic. And then my family. So my father is also a rabbi, and he's a pretty well-known rabbi in the world. He works in Jewish outreach as well as the kosher establishment world, and so he instilled in me a very unique, I think, characteristic. There's a lot of things I learned from my father, and I'm so blessed to continue learning from my father. But my father really instilled in me a sense of responsibility, and that there are things in our lives that we need to take responsibility for, not just in your own life, but for other people around you, for making sure to help other people and to be there for them, whether that's not your kids, your wife, your fellows, your neighbors, your community members. Be there for other people. It goes along kind of with the community thing, but it's something very foundational. My father was always actively trying to help other people. There was a time we had a homeless person who would come to our home, and my dad would pay for his phone service, and he would feed him, and we would have all the time we'd have people in our home, of course, and it was definitely an interesting upbringing. But he taught me that giving to other people and to be there for other people it's a foundation. I'm not saying everyone has to do that. I'm not, yeah, but
Sure.
instill in yourself a sense of giving to others. It's one of the greatest things I think you can give to your children, is that the world isn't about you. The world is about bringing positivity, bringing goodness to other people, and building those relationships with positivity. So, yeah.
That is, first of all, that's incredible. Shout out to your pops. I think that is a great way not only to live, and I think so much of this, as I'm parenting through a toddler and infant at the moment. I love that your dad didn't just tell you to do this. He's, even though of that generation, a lot of parents are like, do as I say, not as I do. And your dad is like, hey, this is what you should do. Maybe there was some of that, but he's like, this is what you should do. But also, you're getting to see him actually do that in action, which I think is very cool. So big love to your pops for that.
And my mother, she just to learn a quick lesson from her, because you got to be learning from both sides of the
Yeah.
both sides of the family. My mom, she always brought, as I was mentioning before about the smile. My mom was always trying to bring a positive light and sense to things. She could be a little critical, as a mother can be, but at the same time, my mom always brought a smile to different things, and trying to bring it's kind of hand in hand with what my father did. Is he would bring, helping other people, and my mother and my father partnered up in a lot of that, and it really seeped into me and my siblings, and the way we raise our kids. And it's my parents are awesome, and
Mhm.
I'm so lucky to have been raised by them. And yeah, I'm so lucky. Also, I mean, I'm gonna jump into the next person who kind of, really I've learned maybe the most from in my life. Um,
Mhm.
as of now, I've yet to, my kids are getting older and older, so we'll see how that changes. But for now, I've probably learned the most from my wife, and working with her. Although she's a couple of years younger than me, she is 10 times wiser than me, and has much better sense of things going on in the world. My wife's amazing. Her name's Sarah. And so she has taught me patience and taught me to be um, a little bit more empathetic, and to be a little bit more proactive, I think is really the word. So for parenting, right, she'll always tell me, okay, be prepared, be ready for what's next on our agenda. What else do we have to get done for the kids to help them have the best day possible? And she will go out of her way to make our kids' lives so much better. Uh, we Today is actually a minor, one of those Jewish holidays. No, not a minor Jewish holiday. It's called Tu B'Shvat, which is the birthday of the trees. It's the new year for the trees in Judaism.
Ooh.
Today, it's nothing major goes on today. There's not major celebrations, except for today's a day where a lot of Jewish people have fruit, and like and a bunch of. It's a beautiful day, birthday of the trees. Everyone goes and plants a tree and whatever, has some fruit. It's great. It's a good holiday.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a
Yeah.
happy day, a lot of sugar. Anyway, but my wife wanted to make sure that my kid went to school and he would be inspired by the day. So she went and she got him ordered a beautiful fruit platter to bring to his school for his class, so that they can have an experience of, an awesome uplifted experience. And my wife is just she's incredibly proactive about doing things to help support our kids' schooling, and to help support them, and to support me in all my work. And I'm blessed and lucky. I hope everyone that's listening has and gets to have the opportunity to have people that support them in the way that I have had in my life.
I can feel the love you have for her as you're speaking about her. It's awesome. It's very cool to see. I have to poke and prod a little bit though. This is where we
Please.
start to dance a little bit. So, as you were saying, she taught you patience and she taught you to be proactive.
Mhm.
It seemed like when you landed on proactive, there was something that you were envisioning, almost like scenes from your past with her, that you were like, here's the lesson in reality. What comes to mind when you think of these lessons that she taught you? Like, what experience, what real life thing were you doing or not doing that you go, oh, it didn't have the lesson, but that's, once I learned it, this is how it showed up. So, like, paint that picture for the listener
Sure. It's definitely not one thing. That's for sure.
uh-huh.
It's definitely not one thing. I would say in my life I've been, I was a lazy, young man who wanted to be on his phone all day. Still am a little bit, but a little bit more positive stuff on my phone. Yeah, it's okay. As
Pay attention.
Shout out to those guys.
using your phone is good if you're using it for the right reasons, meaning like if you're scrolling all day, which we do, listen, it's, you gotta, You gotta do your best in life. But if you're on your phone, if let's just say you got to be thinking about the next step. My wife is was really instilled. For me, it was I was always living in the moment. I still am a little bit, but living in the moment of, okay, this is what's happening in 10 minutes. I Oh my gosh, I'm not prepared. I have nothing going on. And oh, I'm running around like a chicken without a head on. I literally, it would be crazy. I would have nothing happening. And I would have nothing planned, and we'd show up for a road trip that we were supposed to do and plan it 10 minutes before. And like all these kind of crazy things that I would have. My wife is like, okay, when we do something, we do it right. We plan it out, we organize it, we make sure that when we do it, we do it properly. We book flights in advance, not day of, you know, that's never actually happened, but I could imagine that would have
This
been me.
this message has transformed from him to me. Now this is directed at me right now. You're speaking directly to my soul. Carry on, please, Shlomo.
So, I don't know much about this topic that I'm going to talk about, but there, the, how there are different signs of Taurus and, Capricorn and all that kind of things,
Yep.
Cancer and whatnot. So I'm a Taurus. I
Mm.
am a bull. I am stubborn. I am lazy. Food is the way to my heart, all that kind of stuff.
Uh,
It's literally straight up. My wife is a Capricorn,
mm.
I think.
Uh-oh.
I hope, right?
Uh-huh.
But I hope it's right. Anyway, well, she is very focused and very like driven about a specific way in life. And for me, I'm like, let's just go with the flow. We're floating down the river. Let's just go, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm on my, tube floating down the lazy river of life. It's like
Yeah.
that's not how we gotta do this. We gotta
Yeah.
live life and we gotta get up and we gotta make things happen. So she drives me, she pushes me, and in I could have been in when I was in high school, I would just float through classes and not have any specific aim in life. Now the aim in life is to really push to help people, to care for people, to support them, and the mission of what we're doing, and not yeah, and the mission is to really bring inspiration to Jewish teens and to connect them to their Jewish heritage. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're at. And that's
So, so this is
hope
so
and
good.
prod, please.
So you went from lazy bull, just hanging out, lounging around lazy
Slightly
river,
less lazy.
to slightly good job, Sarah. Well done. We've got progress.
Just, but yeah, absolutely. Listen, every day should be progress.
Yeah.
Every day. It's not one day, it's day one.
Yeah. I love this. I totally agree. As cliche as this is in, the online fitness community, day one or one day, you decide, and 1% better every day. It's literally like we've been chatting about this so much the last 48 hours after jiu-jitsu, for example. And it really is just like throw the cup up. Jiu-jitsu
Jiu-jitsu.
is right. And it's like it doesn't it took me forever. I'm 35 years old, and
Young.
only in the last 6 months have I really seen the effects of the impact and accepted it as a real strategy of just staying consistent and sprinkling in minimally. And what I mean by that is when I started, 6 months ago, I was finally hit a different switch with my journey in jiu-jitsu, which was I started 15 years ago was my first time on a mat. If I just kept going one time a week for the last 15 years, I'd be a black belt. I would maybe be doing seminars around the world. Who knows what, right?
Consistency is key.
It is so key. And in the last 6 months, the only real decision I made is you're just keep showing up no matter what, at least once a week. That is it. Now, my goal is like 3 sessions a week, but minimum, no matter where I'm at, no matter how crazy my schedule is, no matter how much I'm traveling, at least once a week. It is mind blowing how much a little bit of improvement compounded over time changes your life genuinely. So when you're saying like just get better every day, it's like it doesn't even have to be I'm going to get better at this one thing every day. It's like just pick something and improve it. every day. That's it.
Right. Listen, when you're doing at the beginning of the year when you're setting your goals for the year, it could be set your goals for the skills that you want to learn and take for that year. Let's say this year I have 365 days on average, right, to master the skill of cooking cheese.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever, like making cheese,
Yeah.
whatever it is, or whatever, doing a handstand, or something, some skill, whatever it is that you want to learn to improve your life, or becoming a public speaker, every day learning something about it, uh, or improving your, anything in your life, your organizational skills, spending 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day on something every single day. By the end of that year, 30 days is really would set the habit. And by the end of the year, you will master it.
That's so real. This is literally what we're talking about. Because he just started a podcast like 6 weeks ago or so, 8 weeks ago. When did you start it?
It's episode 9 is the next one to come out.
Yeah, episode 9. And it's called Divine Dialogues at the moment. And there might be a name change.
So let me tell you an interesting fact about podcasts. On average, I think that's the statistically, I think it's about 90% of podcasts don't make it to episode 11.
Mm.
So if you reach past episode 11, the consistency that you've put in, first of all, builds your audience, and you've reached like the 10%. Like, I mean, like, yeah, like that's success right there, first of all, in its own right. First of all, celebrating each episode is awesome, but
Oh, I do.
He does.
I do. I definitely do.
He does. It's if you just watch his podcast, the first 10 seconds of each episode is just hilarious. It could be its own compilation of just self-hype of we made it to another one. He's like amped up. Yeah.
thumbnail right there. That was good.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, definitely improve every day. So how has
Anthony, ask the hard questions. Let's go.
I'm getting there. How has Sarah? I'm very interested in and this is for anybody listening, like whether you have a family or not, this is your core community of people, right? Like that's what I'm getting at and asking this question and these questions. You don't have to have the same family structure. Oh, this is only for dads out there. No, the core people you spend your time with are the ones that are either going to tell you the truth. What was the saying we were saying? It was like basically like I've said it for years. Like I would rather you break my heart with honesty than to hug me with a lie.
Okay.
And this is like the core people you have around you. Are they keeping it real with you when you're slacking, when you're not, when you're being the lazy bull? Is Sarah like, dude, get your life together? What are you doing?
Oh, yeah, every day.
It's routine.
It's yeah.
Clock goes off.
It's 6 a.m. Wake up. No, I'm just kidding. No, but thank God, my wife in a positive way. She really is a good support and drive to me, and she pushes me, meaning she wants me to succeed because she
Yeah.
knows that her success is our success, and my success is her success. Her success is my success. So being there for each other and being able to support each other's in our dreams and our goals, and to reach the aspirations that we've set for ourselves, it's essential in a relationship. It's not just relationships, marriages are not just being there for each other, you know, to help get the kids to school. Like that's not what marriage is all about. Happens to be it includes those responsibilities. That's being a good parent and all that. Marriage is about supporting each other's goals and dreams and pushing each other to maximize our lives. Because as mentioned, your success is my success. And if we want to get to any sort of goals in the future, if we want to reach any sort of success, we need to work together and focus on building ourselves together.
Mhm. So I want to see if we can get an example from you to see. I know as a man, typically, especially as a fellow lazy man, I'm not a Taurus, but I may act like one based on the
What's your
definition
sign?
given here today. I'm Pisces.
Pisces, okay.
So I know in my personal experience, if I at my core, I want the truth. I want you to keep it real with me. I want you to push me. I want you to be like, dude, you are not living up to your potential. And here's how, you're wasting yourself essentially. I want that from my people. In the moment, it's not always easy to receive that from your people when they are keeping it real. So, can you give an example of a time where you can think of where
Yes.
maybe perfect hit us?
So when we were moving to when COVID started, we were at my in-laws' house and we were still trying to do the things we were doing while in Israel, but online via Zoom and all that kind of things. And it definitely was not healthy for us to be spending most of our time on Zoom and just not focusing on what's happening in the house, but
Yep.
instead we were focusing on trying to keep up with things in the past that, mostly me, I was trying to keep up not just the relationships, but also, everything that was going on. I was kind of in an internship job thing that it wasn't really paying and it wasn't I was really there just for the experience. But once COVID happened, everything was online. So to be involved in that thing, right? I don't want to say what it was, right?
Sure.
But to be involved in that thing wasn't a positive experience for me. And my wife was the only one in our partnership to realize that. And she pushed me. It was very hard to take the criticism, right? She pushed me to drop it and to take it out of my life because it wasn't something that A was going to help me in my trajectory, but also it wasn't something that was on, my that wasn't something that in the moment was helping me, not even just in the future. It was something that was dragging me down and not letting me focus on the priorities of my life. So I then was able to kind of realign my goals and had to refigure out where I was going to take my life. And that led to NCSY and teen leadership and empowerment. And it really helped me kind of reevaluate what I need to do in my life and what goals I need to set. So yeah, that was about
Did
5
she how did she strike up that conversation? Was it like, hey, you came home, you came in from outside, you came from your Zoom meeting where you're wasting your time, and she has a cake, and on the cake is written, give it up, Shlomo. You're done, kid. Like, how did she bring it up to you where you were able to process this in a healthy way to be able to say, because at that moment it sounds like you weren't seeing it the same way she was. You were still in it, you were still like holding on, and she's like, dude, let go, you're drowning yourself with this. How were you able to kind of step back and say, wow, you know what, objectively you are right?
Right. So just a little bit more clarification. What I was involved in was something I'd been involved in for several years and something that I felt passionate about. And I helped build it. And it was it was a school that I was involved in.
Yeah.
And I was working there. I wasn't sure I was going to talk about this. Anyway, it's fine. Um, and I was involved in it. And it wasn't the best thing for me because there wasn't really support for me and for us in our situation. And so we felt it wasn't. My wife felt it wasn't the right thing. So she came to me and she said, "Shlomo, look at look at me. This is not. First of all, it wasn't just one conversation. It was many conversations that were built upon each other. But she said, look at me. This is not something that's going to help you. It's going to be dragging you down and taking you away from you accomplishing really good things. And she laid it out for me, like, what are you gonna go move back to Israel and join this thing? They're not paying you. It's a little bit of a tough situation. We're not gonna be able to support because it's doesn't align with your values. It doesn't align with your trajectory, and it doesn't align with what we as a family need at this moment. And I looked at her and I said, "You're wrong." No, I'm just kidding. I looked at her and I said, I may have said you're wrong once or twice. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break, whatever, that kind of thing. But then it started to seep in and it started to, the message started to become clear. Again, I'm a Taurus. I'm a bit, stubborn. Oh no, people calling me. Do not disturb, turn on, turn on. How do you turn do not disturb on?
Couldn't tell you. I
I
missed the
don't know. Do
class.
not disturb. Okay. There you go. Fantastic. I figured.
Nice.
Anyway, okay, so and then so it as the messages kept coming, it's about constant communication, right? We said consistency is super important. So
Mhm.
being able to communicate with each other over time helped us kind of get through that challenge in our relationship, in our marriage, in our parenting and in our lives. So
You know what I love about how Sarah handled this and like the way you just explained it is in communication, in interpersonal communication specifically, one of the most impactful ways that you can try to help someone correct their course is not by telling them they're wrong and you're stupid and all these things, but it's to appeal to their values, their own values, not like, hey, I'm imposing my values on your life. But she says to you, look at what this is doing and what it's showing up like and how it compares to your values. So she's basically just having you, giving you the opportunity to say, hey, step back and look at yourself from this perspective out here, outside of yourself, and compare it to what you have told me that you value. And now you're able to just look at it, and she's just a messenger now. It's not as if she's the good person or bad person. It's just, she's just a messenger to help you realize that you go, wow, that really is not in line with my values, and I was looking at it differently, but now that I see a better perspective or a different perspective, you can see that. So a huge applause to her for doing that in that way, because it's very easy to just roast somebody, to be like, oh, it's stupid, why are you wasting your time,
oh,
they're not even paying
I've
you,
definitely
like,
gotten roasted. I just, it's happened.
well, you gotta sprinkle it in a little bit, some
Gotta put a
seasoning
little
there.
bit, a little bit of
Yeah,
jazz, Anyway,
yeah, you gotta spice it up a little bit. It can't just be so,
yeah.
uh that's one of the beauties of having a life partner, is you can roast them, you can roast them and
I
you
think
get
that's actually
roasted.
part of the responsibility of a life partner
Yeah,
is you have to roast a person. Like, listen,
yeah,
if your style is terrible, you got to tell
yep.
them. Like, you got to be like, you
That's
know,
love.
no,
That's
no. I
love.
mean, you don't tell your wife that, but she tells you that. That's really what we're saying here. Um, yeah.
Dude, Jeanette had me in tears. This was, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago. She had me in tears because she was roasting me about my style. And it was a significant roast of like this moment in my, not like recent past, but like, recent to before her and I met. And it was just like this kind of significant moment that turned into a huge joke. And the center point of it was her roasting me for wearing high waters. And it's
I don't even
like
know what high waters are. I guess I have to look once again. High waters.
like when your pants are way too high. Like
Oh,
if this is your leg and the high water and your pants are like riding up here and this is your ankle.
oh, yeah. Yeah, those are not for you.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you now, those are not for you.
Where were you?
Well, I was in California. I mean, you should see, this is what it is. You should have come to visit me when you came down to LA.
This is fair. This is fair. Now that I know, especially how close you are to the location, yes,
Places.
that will be happening. So, okay, let's keep cooking here. So this, I think, captures a lot of good stuff, like your upbringing, right? Your mom, your pops, they're instilling in you, caring for others in the way that you want to be cared for, and taking care of the community and being there for people. Your dad helping provide for a homeless person. I'm assuming he had no connection to other than he stumbled upon the guy. Not like, oh yeah, it's
I
my
don't
it's
know,
my
man.
it's my brother Jerry. He just didn't really make anything of himself. It's
People in the community that needed, help and were less fortunate. And
right.
my father, even though I definitely didn't grow up with a lot of money or anything of that nature. Whenever we travel anywhere, we drove everywhere and like whatever. But whatever we had, we would give to, we would try to support and help with others.
Yeah.
It was a major, major thing in my life that like you don't have to have a lot to give.
Mhm.
Some people think that you have to have a full cup to be able to give to others. maybe emotionally you have to have a full cup, but at the same time, even if you have a little bit, you should be giving to others as much as you can.
I love that. Here. Just kidding.
On it,
I'm
son.
giving you my cup. Just yeah. So that's a great
And
lesson
here,
from
have full.
that's a great lesson from your dad. And mom would show up and she would bring light to any situation. She was showing up with that smile, as you spoke about, right? The book talking about how like you should present yourself in the personality development. You should arrive with a smile, a warmth about you. And your mom would bring that,
Yep.
as well as her criticisms, which is,
Oh, of course. Well, yeah,
which is good. You have to stay grounded. You can't get too big headed.
that's the grounded.
And then your wife, she's taught you patience and to be prepared for things, right? To be forward thinking and hey, this is coming up. What should you do to be prepared for when it gets here? Like thinking ahead. And now what I'm curious about is what are you adding to this pot for your boys, for the kids that you have seen as kind of a missing piece that you want to make sure that these kids grow up with? What are some values? What are some virtues, some perspectives of the world that you're like, I really want my boys to embody this, not just know about it, but like embody it.
Great question. Great question. This is now me filling while I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I think one of the main things that I want my boys to come away with in their life is really a sense of caring for each other. I want I want my three boys to be there to always support each other. I've kind of spoken a lot about this in general, the community, but specifically, I want to instill them with a sense of brotherlyhood where, you know, one, each of them know that they can always, no matter what, rely on each other to, let's say one's going through a hard time or two are going through a hard time, that the other one's got their back, that that they're going to be there for each other. Also, I think, one of the main another awesome thing that I think they it would be great if they learned and had in their repertoire of skills would be a genuine desire to help other people. And like I talk about this, it's like I don't know, they're like key things in my life. It's like I want people to be caring for other people. It's a major thing. We want to help other people, but
Yeah.
I want my kids to have that same sense that I have to give to other people and to be there for their siblings and for other people as well. Me personally, what am I going to give over to my children? I've got so much to give. It's great. I just want them to give them love and happiness. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's a great question. Well, maybe let me flip this back on you. What are some things that you are going to give to your kids? You didn't know that this could happen in the
Ah,
podcast. Oh,
the
let's.
Uno reverse card.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, before I give mine, I do want to just comment that I love brotherly, like real brotherly love. I love that. I support that so deeply, partially because I've seen what it looks like when it breaks, when it doesn't work out for siblings as they grow older and they break apart. And that's tragic. And also because I've experienced the opposite of that tragedy. Like my brothers and I, we build trips together through the year. We try to get together. We random, FaceTime just to catch up, just for whatever. And calling, sharing good news, bad news, the roasts on the roasts on the roasts. I mean, it's so good. And we, now in our 30s and 40s, we still have such a strong bond that I would absolutely go to battle for them without even a legitimate call for it. You know what I mean? Um, so that is very important to me. And I know what that's done for me. I'm the youngest brother. And I had this experience last year where I was doing this a Tony Robbins seminar, and there was this moment where we're kind of meditating and trying to go back to our earliest memories of life. And one thing that Tony Robbins, claims to be able to do is take you even further back than what you thought was your earliest memory. And I was like, yeah, right, anyway, I go through this ordeal at the seminar. Tony's leading it and kind of leading through this sort of a meditative moment as you're going back through your childhood and your earliest memory. And it actually did work for me. It wasn't like, oh, I went back another year, but it was like I went back, I was able to go back a couple hours prior to what I thought was my earliest memory. And I saw it from a different perspective. The perspective was my earliest memory was pretty much us. We had just moved into the house that I was raised in. I was 3 years old and I was doing cartwheels in the house with my brothers before any furniture or anything was in there. That was my earliest memory
Of
prior
course.
to this Tony Robbins moment.
Of course.
We go through
Haven't-
this
If you hadn't touched every, surface, did you actually move into a house, like
no, no. Yeah, I mean,
including the
3 years,
ceiling?
a wide open room. Like, you mean I could go around and not break anything and I'm got free? Come on.
It's amazing.
Playground city.
Exactly.
So I last year I'm going through this and I'm like, yeah, I remember me doing cartwheels through here and watching my brothers and all this stuff too. And then going through this exercise, I was able to go back a little bit deeper to the car ride over to the house. And then it was like this amazing moment where like my brothers were making sure that my cartwheels came about because they were encouraging me to be adventurous and explore and be wild and carefree and have fun. It wasn't my cartwheels. It was their cartwheels in this house, if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure.
And so, and it like brought tears to my eyes. Like I started crying as I was thinking of this. I was like, damn, they've always been a protector of me. They've always curated space for me to get out, explore, adventure, become who I am. Right. And so I was like, man, that hit a whole different level of love for my brothers at that. This is just, a few months back. And so now having two boys, two sons, I'm like, how can I build that same thing with them? And luckily, already we're off to a great start. The bond these two have is it's amazing to watch. But what of those stories of people who had a great bond with their sibling until they didn't? So it's a lot of like, even though I'm playing offense and I'm trying to curate the brotherhood with them, I also have to be prepared to play defense when things do arise or when something goes astray. And so I'm trying to also be prepared for those instances as well. So while I'm actively trying to build the bond and the family core here, I'm also trying to be prepared and be able to show like, hey, look at these two people, three people, four people. Look at this family that were once very happy, loving, and everything like this, and now they're broken. Something happened. Do you think that they all intended for that to happen or not? Do you think that it was on purpose or was it an accident? Do you think it was salvageable or not? And these are lessons that I aim to just point out along the way and help them kind of decipher, right?
Mhm.
But I think it's important to play defense to that as well, because you have to safeguard these things. You have to have some defense to the things that are important in specialty, right?
Mhm.
So that's my bit on, I double down with you on that and building that brotherly bond for sure. For sure.
How many siblings do you have?
I have two older brothers and then a half sister. She's the oldest of us.
So one of four.
So, yeah.
Nice. I'm one of seven kids. I have three older sisters, brother, sister, brother after me. And me and my brother just went after me. We're very, very close. And as we've been living our lives in two separate worlds, we've been not growing apart, but just less and less communication. We used to speak, I don't know, two or three times a week,
Yeah.
maybe once a day. We literally speak once a day, basically.
Yeah.
And now it's like, once a week, once every other week, it's just it's a little bit harder as I get busier with more kids, he gets busier with his life.
Yeah.
And it's tough, but maintaining those relationships and building them are essential, even, just the
Yeah.
core of those relationships.
Yeah.
Um, and I really like what you were saying about having to preemptively defend, quote unquote,
Yeah.
your relationship in advance. I like that.
I mean, I would just give a nod to Sarah for that forward thinking and the foresight on that defense you would play, right? You got to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
She having you be proactive on this. That's the thing. So those are my, just kind of adding to what you were saying. I agree with that. Now, from my own answer to this question, the Uno reverse card question, something that I'm aiming to.
If only I had an Uno card, it would be so
for
great.
yeah, for
Yeah.
those that are just listening to this that aren't watching, Shlomo just did the most epic magician hand reveal of his palm as if the Uno reverse card was there.
No, no, but if you're listening, there was an Uno reverse card there.
Yes, yes. Damn, I missed that opportunity. Thank you for catching me on that.
That's very good.
So, what sort of value or virtue do I want to instill in my boys that wasn't so much instilled in myself or my siblings? One for me is this is a big one, and I've been encouraging those around me with this is to be a protector, and not just a protector of yourself and not just a protector of yourself and your family, but of your community. So I have, since baby number two, I had this kind of eye-opening experience I've talked a little bit about before, which was a real sense of vulnerability. It wasn't as if some crazy event happened or anything, but I just had this kind of epiphany moment that I was like, prior to having two, if something happened, I have a baby that's a year or 2 years old. I can snatch him up and I can outrun most of people in America, criminals, whatever. Right? I can outrun most people while carrying a little toddler, right? An infant. Once baby number two came about, it was like running isn't the sure option anymore. So I have to be better prepared. So that looks like for me over the last year and a half, it looks like getting in the gym, training in jiu-jitsu more and, more combative things around that. It looks like, firearms training for me, which I enjoy. Just target shooting is super fun, but also, in the world where churches, synagogues, schools, you name it, places are getting shot up randomly and all this stuff. I don't want my kids and I don't want myself to be the standby victim of trying to escape, evade without any plan or preparation or training. So one of the big values for me is to just be capable of violence. So jiu-jitsu for me is like, I don't ever want to have to fight somebody. I will 100% aim to use my words and wit before I ever have to use any sort of physicality at all. And I want to make sure that my boys are people who see themselves in the light of, hey, when there's a problem that arises, I am capable of navigating that in one way or another. And things are dynamic, and sometimes you have to fight and sometimes you have to run. And ideally you run and just get everybody clear and safe and free and all this stuff. But the protector mindset, that perspective, that's a big one for me because it's just so important in a world where I think most people, and maybe you can speak to your experience yesterday in jiu-jitsu yesterday, most people overestimate their capabilities. And as far as, their physical capabilities, fighting and combat and everything like that, most people overestimate that. And all it would take is someone who's mildly more trained than yourself to completely take advantage of you, your family, your situation, all that stuff. So I think most people overestimate their capabilities, and it's a real strong reality check when you do get on a mat and you do roll with some people. Xavier, would you like to speak on your experience yesterday?
Here's the thing. I always knew I was a pretty vulnerable individual. I never thought I was alpha by any means, but it was eye-opening when even just the instructor showing me the drills on me was like, when he got me to a certain position, I was like, wow, this guy could do whatever he wanted to me, and there's nothing I could do to stop him. And with that hit, I was just like, whoa, I'm like a little bird. It genuinely felt helpless. Like I felt like a baby again. Like I was just being carried in the arms of a master.
I cannot wait to share the videos. The videos of this, they're going on the vlog next week. It'll be what, vlog like 11, I think, or 10 or 11. Hilarious stuff. But if you showed up, you got on the mat, and now you're better for that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things is like having some having my boys, if I had daughters, it would be the same thing. Is I want to instill the virtue of being a protector of your people, of the ones you love, whatever that looks like, whatever your family, community, friends, whatever. I want you to be capable and aware and be the protector of the group. Not to say that you're the one that stands up and fights for everybody and fights everybody's fight and all that stuff. Not like that. Not at all. That's stupid. But to be capable that if the time should call for it, that you are able to get out of there safe and sound and get your people out safe and sound. So that's a huge one for me.
100%, 100%. As a Jewish guy, we live in a world where, there's been a tremendous uptick in anti-Semitic attacks. There was a point where in New York, where it's one of the largest Jewish communities in the world outside of Israel. I think it is the largest Jewish community outside of Israel. There was some sort of anti-Semitic literal attack. Someone coming up to a random Jewish guy in the street and punching him across the face. Like there was an attack almost every single day,
Yeah.
and it would just be, it's just terrible. Honestly, terrible. These kind of things happening, and how do you prepare yourself when there are people out there that hate you just for
Mm-hmm.
you being you?
Yeah.
And how do you know who's going to come up to you? You don't. And
Yeah.
so definitely a level of preparedness is super, super important. I definitely overestimate my capabilities and abilities to defend. Listen, I know I can do the 1, 2, but probably not the 3, 4, whatever.
uh,
Um, yeah, I definitely need.
Come on, we got to get you. We got to get you in the gym.
We gotta get me a gym. Yeah.
If you come up here, if I come down there, we'll do a drop in at a gym and
I just want you to know, if you get me into a gym, Sarah would be so happy. She'd be like, it's all worth it. Oh yeah.
I will tell you this. Not getting like graphic or too personal on things. The more you learn in jiu-jitsu specifically about just different ways the body moves and how to manipulate it and everything like that, things do get more interesting in your physical interactions with people. So I'll just leave it at that. I'll let you fill in blanks there, but
Okay. All right. Fine.
mhm.
Fine. I hear.
But yeah, I think that's very important. And so aside from the protector aspect and the virtue of that in the boys, I'm trying to think of things that like my parents didn't instill or emphasize for us, because there's some fantastic things my parents didn't. But that was one. It wasn't really there. My dad would kind of be like, oh, if somebody hits you, you knock them out, you end the fight, like things like that. But it was like, it wasn't really like the same thing. Another an important thing for me that I think was intended by my parents, but it wasn't necessarily really, really nurtured, is the exploration of all things. And I grew up, my parents were very much, especially dad, was just like, sports, get in there. And he would always make sure we had access to sports. And that was the thing. And my brothers and I were all student athletes. Each of my brothers before me set and still hold school records. Oh boy. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Something I just had to pop up.
You lose internet?
No, I think we're still good. It's
Oh,
pretty
good.
stormy out here, but I think we're still good. So both my brothers, very good athletes before me. And then I, like any young sibling that looks up to their brothers, I'm chasing and trying to keep up and all that stuff. So I did
You still have a school record.
Yes.
Javelin throw.
Yes. I do still hold school record in the javelin. And so I think
Impressive.
one of the things that, and I've chatted with my pops about this, and he's like, yeah, looking back, I kind of wish I didn't. It's not like he pushed us, but it's like he guided us. He steered us to sports. He's like, I kind of wish I didn't steer you so much towards sports. And I see that as well, where I want to expose these boys to a lot of different things, sports, arts, sciences, all these things, and see what they have kind of their own affinity to and how that can serve them and the community as they would develop. Ideally, with the intention of finding things and nourishing things that they really are drawn to, that they can do for their whole life. Not like football, where you are 30 years old and you're toast. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure what exactly that virtue would be, but kind of like exploration of different avenues of things that are long lasting that they can do for the rest of their life, that sort of thing.
Different skills that last and
Yes.
help you grow and achieve. I love that.
Bingo.
That's amazing.
Bingo.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just I wanted to bring up a quick point. Before you were talking about um, uh, putting in your effort to be a protector and to to be prepared and to be like that. So I just wanted to say in Judaism, we have a concept called hishtadlus, which means to I mean it literally means proactivity, right? But there's also a counter part of it, which is bitachon, which is belief in God, right? To believe that God is going to be there for you to protect you, but you have to put in your hishtadlut, your proactivity, your the effort in to make that possible. It's a partnership between you and God in making things happen. So if
Mhm.
you put in all the effort to become a protector and to take care of your family, and once you put in that effort and have belief in God, God will be there for you. And so it's a
I
beautiful
love that.
partnership between God. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that.
No, that is, thank you for pointing that out. That is a beautiful thing because I think there's also that aspect of like, have faith that nothing, be prepared, but have faith that everything's going to be okay. Like, that's a
Absolutely.
key aspect too, because I see, and I've even been there. I've had times where I'm like so in it and like, that your brain can take you to a place where you're constantly, even though you're assessing for threats, you constantly can be in a state of feeling as though you are under threat, which is not necessarily healthy or always the case or a good thing, right?
Mhm.
It's not like we live in a war zone. So I think it's important to have debatable,
I
depends on
live
you.
in LA. It's basically a war zone.
Yes, different parts of the country. This is true, depending on where in the world, depending on where you're listening. But that is a good point. Yeah, it's like be prepared, and I think that's how I think of this is like doing my due diligence to learn situational awareness and things to look out for and how to be ahead of, like, we were chatting the other day about signs when somebody is about to throw a punch, and what that looks like, and it's different signs, and like clenched fist, and also turning kind of away from the person they're going to hit, and you would think like, oh, that means they're going to walk away, but it's a sign they're about to swing on you.
Right.
And so doing these exercises over and over and staying sharp allows you to kind of be a step ahead of trouble. And if you are a step ahead, then you can get out of the situation before one arises, and you can get other people out of a situation before one arises. And so that's where it's like, it's pretty important for that, but to not live in fear.
Right. We were here in LA in the wildfire war zone over here that we had about a month ago, just over a month
Yeah.
ago. It was a little scary being here, and we had the where I live, there was a fire 20 miles north of us, whatever. There's the Eden fire, and then there was the Palisades fire, and then there was all these little mini fires that kept popping up all over the place. There was one that popped up a couple of miles from us, a small one, and it was like there was smoke in the air. Everything was ashy in the morning, like there was ash on our windshield and everything. And it was genuinely scary. You didn't know where there would be a fire. You didn't know what was happening, and you keep scrolling and updating the to make sure that there's nothing happening in your thing in your area right near you, and watching the evacuation notices and warnings, and tracking how little they actually have gotten control of the fires, and then there's no water, and then this and then that, and it was a constant like anxiety of
Mhm.
what is going to happen. This is out of our control.
Yeah.
And we kind of just have to give in to that belief, A, that we're going to be okay, while also proactively, getting out of here early. We went to go visit some friends in Orange County, to
Nice.
get out of the smoke, but
Yeah.
that's what it was. We were worried that we weren't going to be able to, come back to home, like
Yep.
the winds kept up, and it's that kind of thing. Is there your life? You can be the protector as much as you want, but end of the day, there's really only so much you can do when things are out of your control.
Yeah.
Whether that, you could be the top fighter in the world, if you get attacked by multiple people that are even, decently trained, and maybe they're armed, there's not much you can do, meaning
Yep.
even if you can, so you can be as prepared as you want, but it's the belief in
Yes.
God that protects you the most.
That is beautifully put. Nice plug for God right there. That was
As the big God, he does.
I'm curious. So I have another couple questions and then I want to open it up because I've not even let Xavier. He's just been a statue here this whole time, just looking just handsome, stunning in this.
For everyone listening in, there's actually three of us here. It's not just two.
I appreciate that.
So I want to ask a question here. And then I want to pass it over to Xavier if he has a question or two that he wants to bring up.
Mhm.
What, because we haven't really, you've shared some wonderful wisdom and everything from uh Judaism, from that's the correct term.
Yep.
And what I'm curious about is if you were to think like not just your, hey, this is my, the answer that I fire off, right? Because your father's a rabbi,
Yep.
you're raised in the community, you've lived in Israel and everything. But I want to think like what, yeah, that's so fly.
Love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Technically, I'm a rabbi. Technically.
Yes, I love it.
Technically.
So, Rabbi Shlomo, what has Judaism provided? No, no, no. Let me rephrase this. What does Judaism provide that you feel present day 2025 all across America or the world or whatever it may be? What does it provide that you see alive and well in the Jewish community that you feel like if the world had this, we just sprinkled this on the world, it would just improve the world and everyone's life experience?
Okay, so I've got a couple of answers. One I would say is sets a set law of morality, a set, basis of morality. In Judaism, there's strict laws about how you live your life, kind of like a guideline. That's really the second point is that the Torah is really a guide book to life. Loving you have to loving everyone like yourself and everything else is commentary, but the commentary itself and everything that it actually is okay. You wake up in the morning, you do this, you do this, you do this. You go to pray 3 times a day because you're establishing a connection to God. You interact with um, people in certain ways. I'm trying to think of more, real examples, but
Yeah.
for us, it's a guideline. We have 6 days where we have a regular weekdays, and then this Saturday Sabbath is Shabbat. It's our holy day of rest. It's a guideline to our life. Everything is we're working towards that weekend break, kind of, so to speak, that Shabbat. That I don't know if do you guys know what Shabbat is, Sabbath is, and maybe it's Sabbath, but
Essentially, technology free day.
yeah, so in the Jewish culture, at least in the Orthodox Jewish culture, we don't use electronics. We don't use, we don't drive anywhere. We stay home, experience an awesome day of connectivity with our family and the community. Go to pray, and have 3 meals. Food is everything in Judaism. Every Jewish holiday, every Jewish holiday has. They tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat. That's it. That's the basis
Hey,
of Jewish.
food sets the mood. As my friend Chris Crary says, food sets the mood.
Exactly, exactly. So food is awesome and big part of Jewish culture and Judaism. But the Torah really, it's a guidebook to how to live life. When we're talking about how much taxes to give, is literally a guideline in the Torah. You're supposed to give 10% of your income, of your wealth, to away to the poor people to help support the community. And there's so many different laws and different things that we can learn from the Torah. And it's learning it and constantly growing your knowledge in it allows you to live a more moral life with real values that I think if people learned, the Torah as well as the Bible, whatever, however you call it, and instilled those values that are built into it into your life, I think your life would be much more pure, much more uplifted. And I think if the world had that, I mean, they do have it, but people are going all over the place doing crazy things. There was a crazy video, a crazy news story of this woman who went and was what we call had relations with like over 1,000 people or something like that. And crazy, crazy things are happening in this world where people don't have any morals enough to like say this is not right. The
Yeah.
values of our world is like starting to fall apart. It's crumbling. And anyway,
Yeah.
terrible things, but also great things. It's a great guidebook to being a better person, to character development, to treating other people better. And yeah.
Thank you for that beautiful breakdown. I agree that you have to get some set of morals to live by, some ethics, some code, and to try to figure that out on your own, maybe not the best route to go. So go with something that's long standing. And I would say, there's several different options out there for you that are widely followed that you could find some set of principles if you don't have any. If you're not living with any, if you're out there trying to knock up 1,000, rack up 1,000 things, you got to get something.
Right.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Could I just show up and go to a service? Like,
Sure.
how does one, like, if let's say I wanted to become Jewish, like, what would that process look like? Is that
Oh,
because there's like the Jewish religion and culture, and
so this is in no way me trying to missionize or convert anyone. This is not.
no, no, no.
No, I know. I just wanted
Let
to
me, yeah,
clarify for the listener. And
yeah,
more
yes.
so on that, it's actually extremely hard to become Jewish through the Orthodox way. Because I mean, not the key word, I'm going to say privilege here on for a reason, but it's not that kind of privilege. It's an honor, it's a privilege to be a part of the Jewish people. And it's not like we're gatekeeping or anything. Maybe a little bit gatekeeping the food because it's delicious, um, but but it's there's a responsibility aspect to being Jewish. When you accept upon yourself to become a Jewish person, you have to accept all the 613 commandments that we have in the Torah. And if there's the process to doing that, would you would go and meet with a group of three different rabbis who are trained in all the laws of how to convert and all that. They will give you like a curriculum or of things to learn so that you can uh, basically learn everything you need to learn and know that when you actually accept yourself as a Jewish person, that you can know all the different things, know all the holidays, know all the customs that we do, all the traditions, and so that you can live your life as a Jewish person in the best way possible. So they'll meet with you and they'll push you back and they'll tell you not to do it. They'll remind you about all the different laws that there are and different things. And if you're dedicated and interested in actually doing it, can take a year or two, even more. I've seen people who have been in the process of converting for 5 to 10 years, and they don't get converted because they're not willing to actually do what it is that you have to do to. So it's about learning the information about connect. If you said you wanted to convert, I would connect you with a rabbi friend of mine who runs uh, either the RCC or one of these councils that RCC is the Rabbinical Council of California. But anyway, so there's different councils around the world that can help you convert, and they have different processes to do it. Most of it is just learning the information, but then also it's not just learning it; it's instilling it into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that would mean also keeping the Shabbat, keeping the kosher, keeping all the laws that we have. That it's not easy to be a Jewish person. I just want you to know, kosher food is like twice the price of regular food. It's like how much is a pound of beef for you guys for in the non-Jewish world? Like 5.99 a pound or something like that, 6.99 a pound,
Yeah, it's a little north of that, but yeah.
whatever, somewhere around there. For us, like a pound of beef is somewhere closer to 10 or 11. Like it's expensive, in life, and then you multiply that times the rest of your life. Listen, it's pricey, right?
Yeah, I love that the disclaimer you gave of like you're not this isn't like, hey, I'm trying to convert and all these things. But the reason I asked it, for me, I've had an interest over the years. I've had an interest to I don't know why this just popped into my head, but Bill Maher's Religulous or whatever, the where he goes
Religiosity?
around.
What?
What's that?
No, yeah, Bill Maher. Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, he made a documentary called Religulous, I think it is,
Never seen.
where it's basically him going around the world, and it's pretty. Think of somebody making kind of a satire about every religion is kind of like what he did, which is like obviously it's sacrilegious across multiple religions.
Great.
But the reason this popped in my head is because I've had an interest to do a sort of religious tour where it's like, hey, this year is going to be the year of Buddhism. So we're just going to dive in and we're going to go learn and learn and learn and see what we can gather. And then next year we're going to, go to spend a year in Islam and, things like this and just gather the beautiful information and experiences and laws and rules and, the way of life of all these different religions, because I think of the way that I try to live life is like take the best of the things,
Mhm.
like take the best of the things from everybody. That's why I love to podcast. That's why I love to chat with people, because you have a different life and you have a different experience. You have a different set of experiences that if I can take these and mold these together with all of the best things and find a good way to make these mesh, then ultimately I can make super powered children, you know?
Oh,
That's how it works, right? But
I don't know. I mean, listen, I think if you take all the best things from Judaism and then add all the best things from Judaism, then you'll have the best things from Judaism. No,
that math checks out. That math checks out.
that checks out. Listen,
Yeah.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So,
Yeah.
Um, I like the idea. First of all, you are welcome to come down whenever you want. You can spend host you for a week of going through the basic, all the Jewish things that we do. You got to come around a holiday so you can really experience the things, the things. No, yeah, you should come in like
Food. You just say so I can experience the food.
well, the food for sure. Whatever it is, you're gonna come. I'm gonna cook you delicious food. I happen to be the cook in the family. Lucky my wife.
Uh-huh.
Lucky Sarah. Anyway, so we make some pretty darn good food, I just gotta say, But
Yeah.
okay, food aside, because everyone will say that the Jewish people stole their food from all the different cultures, which could very well be, but we did it better. Anyway, so whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not a competition thing. That wasn't what this was.
Yeah. Of course.
But yeah, no, anyway, I would love to give you that experience if you want to come in and experience
Yeah.
what it is to be a part of a Jewish community. Have you visited Israel? Have you ever been to Israel?
I'm not.
You have to go to Israel. That's first of all. Just even from I don't know if you're Christian or whatnot, but as a Christian or someone who even believes in God, anything, you have to go to Israel. Israel's got, aside from being a war zone, which is not really a war zone right now,
Yeah.
but Israel has, you just feel it in the stones as you're walking around,
Yeah.
that it is really a holy place and you can feel God there. And there's Christians and Jewish and Muslim uh, and Armenian Christian, and it's so
Yeah.
cool. It's Catholic, and there's a lot of things going on in Israel. And
Yeah.
Jerusalem is the city of God. It's the city of gold. It's amazing. You have to go
Yeah.
experience Israel, that's for sure.
I am absolutely up to go. That would be rad. My roommate in college, he got to go on Birthright, and I remember the stories, and I sat with him, and we went through all his photos and videos and stuff, and it was just an epic experience. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, so and plus I love to travel. I love to travel the world. I love seeing different cultures, and I've had some really wonderful cultural experiences in different places that have very positively impacted my life. Of like that doesn't exist anywhere in the US and
Mhm.
anywhere else I could experience it here, but I want to carry that on with me everywhere we go and in the family. And so I imagine there's plenty of things in Judaism that would be similar to that I would love
Oh
and be
yeah.
like, man, this is incredible. Like I want to carry that on and pass that on as well, right? So thank you for the invite. I fully intend to take you up on that.
Absolutely do. I want to give you a little bit of a resource. If you want to learn more about Judaism, just for the knowledge, for the information, I have these very close friends. They have a YouTube channel called House of Lev, HOUSEOF uh, LEV, Lev. Lev, it means heart in Hebrew, and so they are actually African American, a family who converted to Judaism, and they go through on their channel the entire process, from the beginning when they started converting until, and then up until they moved recently to Israel, and
Wow.
after becoming Jewish, and they go through their entire process and everything that they did, and all the inspiration and lessons and things that they've learned. If you see some of their vlogs, I'm in a couple of them. Whatever.
Let's go. Toot, toot.
Okay, whatever. Anyway,
So
no,
you're just there
they're
signing
really
autographs.
they are really amazing and an inspirational group of people. And I would, if you want to learn more about Judaism, they do from like the base level of really explaining it to the higher levels of different Jewish ideology, and it's really
Very
well done.
cool.
So
Very
definitely
cool.
a channel to check out. Yeah.
I love it. I wrote it down and I fully plan to. I mean, even just documentaries on just life, right? Like, who doesn't love a documentary of a culture of sorts? And especially when you can have the coming of age story that you get to follow along, like it sounds like this is pretty rad. So I will be checking that out for
Definitely,
sure.
for
So
sure.
thank you. Before I turn over to give the floor to Xavier to ask any questions that may have arose, which I have no idea what he's going to ask. But there's nothing pre-scripted or anything like that. But I do want to open the floor because this kid is, I say he's a kid, he's 21, but this kid is one of the most, I would say, genuine hearted Christians that I know. And that's coming from his father, my brother. He genuinely like led that embodiment for me for years. I mean, my brother is the dude that everybody assumes Christianity is gonna be like until they end up like showing up into the church and then they get into the people politics and they're like, what is going on here? And it's crazy. My brother is like the embodiment of it. He just is like what it sounds like your dad, how he would take care of the homeless person and help them and everything like that. That's this kid's dad, and he's carry that on too. So very well studied. He continues to study the Bible and knows far more about it than I do. And
You
I
should
think
know
that
more about it than I do as well.
yeah, good chance, good chance. But yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting because I know nothing about any of these things, so it's nice to hear whatever he's about to say. We have a lot of chats and debates around things, and so I'm going to pass the floor to Xavier. Xavier, Rabbi Shlomo.
Well, first of all, I think this was an interesting conversation just to hear because knowing a little bit of Jewish context, having taken Old Testament survey in college and stuff like that, like I've known a lot of Torah stuff, but to hear it come from a Jew is like I'm like fangirling right now. I feel like I don't know. It's like
Love it.
it's like hearing an OG.
Yeah.
But um yeah, I wanted to first talk
Let
about
me time out. Let me time out. Is that the proper way to address like hearing it from a Jew? I feel like that is
I think
not
I think Jew has kind of is kind of a little bit negative. I don't care. I don't think anyone would care about it. I think you would say I don't know, a Jewish person, but I think a Jew is
okay. A Jewish person, just
okay.
just to correct. No, I thought
no,
the
but
same.
I don't think that's bad. Like that's I hear that all the time. It's a normal thing. It's not a negative thing. Like
And
there are ways to
obviously,
say it in a negative way, like, oh, you dirty Jew. Like I get that, like,
right.
but if you're saying like a Jew, that's, we refer to it like that. Everyone refers to it like, it's
Okay.
totally normal stuff.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you.
The
But
word
like,
Jew, just to cover, the word Jew comes from the Hebrew word Judah, Yehuda, right? It was one of the leaders of the Jewish people, one of the tribes, one of the 12 tribes, sons of Jacob. And it's the kingdom of Judah, because his lineage had, all the kings come from it. So we became the tribe of Judah. Not the tribe, but the people of Judah, and in the kingship. So it became known as Judea, and learned out Englishly and whatever. I don't know. Maybe in Europe it got a little mixed up, but a Jewish,
Yeah.
it's all referring back to the same name, so it doesn't bother me.
But if I'm out in the world and I am introducing a friend and I'm just like, oh yeah, I would say he's a Jewish person
This
would
is
be
my
the
Jewish friend,
this is my yeah, and not like he's a Jew is what I'm
this is
getting
my
at. Because
Jew.
no, yeah,
That's what I'm
right.
saying. Like,
Yeah. So just throwing that out there to just I thought that was a little off, even though I know your intention. Obviously,
no, it's
you could.
not. It's really, by the way, that wasn't all. I think that was fine.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, great.
I think
Carry on. Your question. Sorry for interrupting. I'm out. I'm sitting out now.
I mean, I like the person that I follow being Jesus was a Jewish person. So like I have a great deal of respect for the culture and the history fascinates me. I've
Mhm.
been following this dude named Wes Huff. He's a biblical historian and he dives into all of that. Old Testament talks about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Mhm.
Anyway, all that to say,
Right.
when you were talking about the rabbi that summed up the entirety of the Torah and the laws as love one another, I found that so awesome because that's exactly what Jesus said. Like he was like the entirety of the law is summed up in two commandments: love God with all your heart and love one another. And so that was beautiful. That was the comment. My question is, you clearly have an amazing personality and like tossing jokes around, all that kind of stuff, as well as being a religious man,
Mhm.
which those two from the outside looking in can be almost conflicting. And I want to know how being a Jewish person and me being a Christian, how I can integrate my personality more in the whether it's the online realm or I'm giving a sermon or something, because you don't want to do too much personality to where it's like you're distracting it, but then you want to get to the heart of it. So where's your balance with that?
I love the question. I want to clarify a little bit. Are you saying that in general, all the Jews that you've ever met or know of are not entertaining?
I'm saying this from my Christian fellows. Okay, because you could walk into a church and be like, those guys, those guys got a pole up there or something like that.
I hear. I mean, in general,
that that is charisma.
Yeah.
yeah,
That right there
in
is
general, it's aura nowadays. You have to know. Anyway,
yeah.
first of
Right.
all, I work with teenagers all day long, so you have to be a little bit. You have to be able to take some punches and also give some punches, and also at the same time, you have to be able to keep it entertaining and you got to get people engrossed and excited and you can't just stand there in the front of the room going, "I like God." Do you agree? Like that kind of a thing's not going to work for you. You have to keep it engaging. You have to keep the conversations alive, and also, and in general, I like to be. I think one day I'm gonna just start doing comedy. Maybe I'll do sit down comedy because then I don't have to stand. But listen, you got to keep it light. You got to keep it light. And also, I think the real thing is just develop your sense of personality in general, your comedy and I like to watch a lot of comedy shows and comics and stuff like that and constantly, adding to your repertoire of bad jokes because, one day when you reach the title of dad and you earn the ability to do dad jokes, it just you're just a better person in general. It's just the way
Proven fact. Proven
it's
fact.
just a fact. The second you're able to do, dad jokes, you level yourself up to the next level.
Yeah.
And so I think just being entertaining and trying to bring light to other people and happy, always find a way to be understanding of the situation who you're speaking to and making sure that you're trying to bring light to them and obviously in a way that's not negative to them. You don't want to take anyone down. We have a concept in Judaism called lashon hara, evil speech, and talking negatively about another person is something that's absolutely forbidden and terrible, and um, we make sure to steer away from speaking negatively about any other people. So what was the question? I hope I answered it. That was the truth.
How do you go ahead? You
How
could
you sort of
yeah.
integrate integrate the two in public contexts.
Yeah, so again, it's just be yourself, and don't let any of these don't let any of the world, the way that you've seen, let's say, online personalities be, or anyone else, don't let them change you from doing what you think is right. You don't have to
Mhm.
be the educator who, is standing at the pulpit or whatever you call it, and leading the front of the thing if that's not you. If your way of connecting with whatever your, I guess, following is to, I don't know, play, certain kinds of games with them or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Cup stacking games or something interesting that I don't know what I was coming up with there. I work with teens, whatever. We do games and stuff like that. So you can interact. It's, whatever you have to do to keep your crowd entertained, but at the same time make it a learning experience, which is helping them grow and helping them connect with whatever your message is. I don't think this is about to turn into a whole me disproving Jesus and all that kind of thing, because that's not what that's not what this is
No.
supposed to be. Also, we believe in that Jesus was a real person in
Mhm.
Judaism. We're not gonna go there. Anyway, that's not maybe I'll come with your podcast and we'll have this debate.
No, yeah, for sure. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Episode 11 if you reach it.
oh, top 10 right there, boy.
Yeah. We're close. Like 3 weeks away.
You're 3 out. That's
Yeah.
right.
But so you,
So to
I
sum it up, you just either you got it or you don't. And Shlomo's got it.
No, that's not it. That's not it. Because you can develop a personality. It's
Fact.
Some people definitely need to, but you can
Also
develop
fact.
a personality. It's
Yeah.
it's interacting with other people and listening. One of the key things
And
people don't realize is that listening to others and learning from others is one of the best ways to develop yourself. And hearing what other people have to say and learning more. You know, if you want to learn a little bit more about comedic, you know, things, you have to watch some comedians. If you want to learn about being an entertainer, you have to watch some of the best entertainers. But it's not about just watching them, it's watching them intentionally.
mm-hmm.
Intentionally knowing what you're watching.
Yep.
So, like, I'm watching a comedian, but I'm watching it not just for the enjoyment of watching the comedian. I'm watching the comedian so I could steal some of their jokes so that I could be funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, like, assess, like, oh, the callback here because they were a good listener. They had a callback to the joke, and you got to play on that and everything like this. And so you can stack that. And literally, we were just talking last night, well into midnight, about developing personality and listening, being a good listener and good questions and things like that, which is so good. Super glad you pointed that out.
People in general usually tend to gravitate towards people who are genuine. So if you are being real with yourself, and that includes meaning if you don't know something, say, I don't know this. Faking it doesn't really give you a platform that people want to be connected to.
Well, I'm actually aiming to blow up on this podcast. So let me tell you how I'm an expert in Judaism. Let's start here. Yeah, doesn't fly at all. Keep it real. I love that.
Good. I'm
I
just
think that's such sound advice for just life, like especially in the online world where people are trying to be this and grow that and be famous and popular and all that stuff. Sure, but everyday life, this holds true too, which is why I think I felt so drawn to you when we met. Is I didn't feel like you were putting on some facade. I didn't feel like you were trying to be some sort of character. I felt like we had so much fun because you and I were able to just shoot the shit and play off of each other as if it was like some improv show. And we had a blast all day long. And it was because it was just authentic. It wasn't like, oh man, Shlomo's so funny with this type of humor. I'm going to try to do the same type of humor too. It's like,
You
just keep
have
it real.
your style and I have mine, and that's
Exactly.
I I I would say that I think that my personality developed a little bit because I kind of became a chameleon in my life. We moved a lot, right? As I mentioned, we went to Des Moines, Minneapolis, Milwaukee. That's a callback to the beginning of the show. Anyway, so
Bingo.
we
Nice.
yeah. Either way, so as I had to move, I had to really develop new friendships, new relationships with people every time we moved. And I had a tough time of that in certain places, but I learned that you have to really just be a little bit flexible, but also learn from others and be able to be there for others. But at the same time, like there are different ways that people react with. There are different things that people connect to, different ways of speech, and just, different maturity levels and things that people don't like. And through my life, I gained, the experience of this is comedy that people like. This is comedy people don't like. This is, something that keeps people entertained. This is something that has the gravitas to bring people in, and there's charisma. Dun, dun, dun.
Bingo. And read the room, like he said, that's a big part.
Yeah, and don't be scared to fail. Meaning, try jokes. Try things that you maybe hadn't thought that you were gonna do before, or hadn't thought that maybe that you were listen, if it's a bad joke, okay, so 5 seconds of embarrassment, means you learned something.
Bingo.
In jiu-jitsu, that was 10 minutes of embarrassment.
Okay, but now you learned how to be bad at jujitsu.
This is true. This
You
is true.
learned that your back and the mat are best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. This is
Yeah.
true. All right, I'm gonna give you one more and then I'll start the wrap up. So make it good. Make it really good.
I mean, you kind of answered my secondary question, which was where it comes from. Like you talked about the comedy, your personality is what I'm referring to. You
Mhm.
talked about watching a lot of comedy and then almost the chameleon aspect too, and how you grew out of that. But also, I'm assuming that you have a decently funny friend group as well.
Um, yeah, I have at least two mirrors. No, but yeah,
He's
listen,
got the trifold mirror in the bathroom and he's having a blast. Just
I get,
me and my homies.
yeah, no, thank God I have a lot of really good friends. I have some friend groups that are funny, some that are not, some that I'm the only one who's funny, some that even I can't fix that group. It's listen, I've interacted with a lot of people, and I do my best to connect and to uplift whatever group I'm in. And you really you have to put the effort in yourself. You can't rely on other people to specifically give you your personality. You have to be yourself and develop yourself in the best way that you can. So, friend group aside, I mean, you can learn as much as you want, but unless you yourself have some sort of built up, you gotta have a little bit half full of the cup, and pour it into others.
I like that.
Bars.
Yeah.
We can
Oh man. What's that?
we can do more. I like these questions. These are great.
Fire another one.
Let's go.
Oh gosh.
On the spot. On
On
the
the spot.
spot.
Come on,
Okay.
let's go. Go. Give me the hardest question you've got. Let's go.
Can it
Ooh.
be like theological?
Of course.
Okay. So when you grew up in the Jewish community, what makes you want to stay there in terms of, is it like a connection with God that you feel, or just like the sense of community is so strong? What keeps you there?
Mhm.
Sense of community is definitely strong. Definitely strong. I think, not I think, I believe, I genuinely believe that Judaism is the proper way of living life, um, based on what I've learned and the experiences that I've lived. Um, I think that it's very, very important, again, to have a moral code that Judaism provides. And the reason I want to be a part of Judaism is that obviously there is a real moral code. It uplifts your life, and it's not just that I was born and raised, and this was my whole life. There was parts of my life where I did not, so to speak, I wasn't doing the things that I probably should have been doing. We all have our, times where we go and do things that are different. Anyway, so I've had my experiences in my life, whether or not they were the most kosher experiences, but I learned from them that the things that I want in life are the things that are, have a higher purpose. And I feel that Judaism gives me a real connection to God, and I do feel it. I have been to Israel countless times. I lived there for a while, and just when you go to the Western Wall, the Kotel. and you're stepping before what was just a small piece of God's temple and home, it it's just awe-inspiring. And there's nothing greater than really feeling that connection to a larger entity and to to God. So it's something very special, and I love to be involved in it.
So it's both, it sounds like community for sure, and also your direct feel in connection to God
Absolutely,
is what
absolutely.
what keeps you there.
All right.
And the
Oh,
food.
again, the moral code is important,
And the food.
and the food, yeah, the food.
And the food. Yeah. Moral code. No, I think that's very important.
What else? You got one more? You got another one?
I mean, it's it's kind of an Israel based question because I really want to go one day, and I watched this YouTube channel called Expedition Bible where he just like basically he lives in Israel and he just finds the or he's an archaeologist that just basically unearths the Bible and its stories. And I think it's really cool. But what because you talked about being at the Western Wall, or it's also referred to as the Wailing Wall, right?
Yes, they don't really. They call it the Wailing Wall. It's a misnomer as the
Oh,
Wailing Wall.
okay.
They call it the Wailing Wall because people go and cry at it. That's what they that's why they call it. And also really because it's the last testament to the temple. Really, it's the last like real wall there. So it's like, oh, it's sad wall because it's, it's the only piece that's left, the ruins of the temple. But the Western Wall is because it is the in the temple, the orientation of the geographically, it is the Western wall, literally, of the temple. Right? So that wall is not actually part of the temple, it's actually the outside wall geographically. I'd have to really show like an image to kind of like give you the full experience, but it's the outside like gate, so to speak. And then on the inside, there was another wall as well that was part of the temple. The whole temple itself was burnt and destroyed to the ground. Had its stone burned? Great question. But that part of the wall was the western. It's actually one of the closest places to where the Holy of Holies would have been, the Kodesh Kodashim we call it. Anyway, that's why it's
Um,
so dear to us.
when you're there and you're feeling the presence of God, what's that? It because I've always heard of it as like you're feeling the pain that they felt, like basically watching it be burned down. Like I've heard it said as like the stones are the ones that are wailing. Is that like an accurate?
Could be, and I haven't had that experience. For me, it's more I feel first of all, they're big, they're really huge. The whole wall is huge, and it's only about half the height that it used to be, according to our Torah about how much it would have been. Not the Torah, the our tractates, the Gemaras, which go through during that time period when the temple was destroyed, goes through all the measurements and whatnot of the temple. So that's how we know what it would have been. And it's about twice the height of which it would be now. And even now, you pale in comparison to the height and to the size of it. And it's really, first of all, just gorgeous in itself, the way they light it and everything. And if you see it at night, um, the land of Israel itself is beautiful in general. But the Kotel, the Western Wall, is a beautiful, beautiful place. And when you get there and the feeling, it's the magnitude of the wall itself just towering over you, and you feel just, as I mentioned, in awe. It's like a goosebumps, over you, like, wow. I've been to the Kotel probably 1,000 times in my life, I'd say. I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe a little less. But I've gone a tremendous amount. I lived in Israel for 7 years, and I go on a trip every summer, and I go multiple times in the summer to the Kotel. So a bunch of times, let's just say, several hundred times for sure. And every time I go, it's uh it's beautiful. First of all, there's actually a live stream. You can always watch the Kotel. There's a live stream you can always look on. Literally right now, you can pull it up and you can share a screen and we can watch the Kotel right now, the Kotel Plaza. It's gorgeous because people want to see.
Challenge, challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. See if you can
You
pull it up.
you keep you keep talking and
Called
I,
kotelwebcam.com or something like that. Kotel. Okay. Anyway, so and the Kotel is magnificent. It would be what, evening now? It'd be like 7:30 p. No, it'd be like 9 p.m. almost there. 8, 9 p.m. Yeah, it's
Let's see. Thecotel.org live cam.
yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Let's
Dun, dun,
see.
dun, 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 dun. Anyway, you when you're in the Cotel Plaza and you're walking down the ramp and you see the walls, these walls are 2,500 years old. They're almost 3,000 years old. And they are massive. How did they get them? How did they build them like that? And we don't even have machinery now that could have done that in that way. Maybe we do now. We have some pretty big
Wait,
stuff.
this is it.
What?
Hold on. I'm gonna share it here in a moment.
Share the
Uh,
screen.
I am currently on AISH AISH.com
H.
slash
Yeah.
eight. Okay, okay.
H.org. Yeah, it's one of the larger Jewish organizations. They actually have a building that's right across from it. So they have their webcam.
Let me
H.org.
It is beautiful at night.
let me share this screen because this is very cool.
You never knew
More
you could just get a step right into the hotel.
let's what are we doing here? Come on, Zoomy Zoom. I think we're gonna go. Let's go full screen. This is
Whoa, I don't see it. Oh, there you go. You gotta go full screen.
wait, is
Yeah,
that
there you
it?
go. Webcam.
Can you see it?
If you go over the video, there's nowhere to make it full screen.
Yeah, I think there is. It's gotta be.
Either way, yeah, listen, let's look at this. They're also doing construction there. In the middle part, I think they are, this is literally right now. They're either doing construction to build something or they're digging. Like
Right here.
yeah, it could be they're digging. No, this is some sort of construction. There are times where they will have where some parts of it they're digging to like for archaeological reasons.
Mm.
So, but
Do
anyway,
you think I'm interested in this because I've always heard like because that's the Temple Mount. It's a Muslim site right now, or Muslim
yeah.
controlled right now, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. It's
So do you think the attempt of rebuilding of a third temple would spark this World War III type?
we're not going to build the third temple. God will. That's our
Yeah.
belief. Is so listen, in our scriptures in some of the prophets it discusses about what will happen at the end of time and when not end of time when the Messiah comes, when Mashiach comes, and for us that is that there's going to be a great war, and after the great war the enemies of the Jewish people are going to be uh, destroyed and taken back, and the third temple is going to be there, and there's more to it. I don't know exactly. I'm not so well versed in those scriptures, but it's the plan is to have the temple there. Let's go. Temple number 3. Listen, it's a Muslim site. I'm not saying everyone has their own, religion that has their own beliefs. The Muslim site, they think it's a powerful place, which for them, which really doesn't make sense even to their Quran. It's like they're apparently their third or fourth most important
Yeah, it's
site,
their
whatever.
third most holy site.
Yeah, for us, it's the most. So I think we have precedence. Uh, it's also that golden dome over there. That was only
That's what I was amazed at. What is that?
so that was
Well,
built.
real quick, I love how you turned immediately into a sports broadcaster. Let build it there with let's go. Anyway, I don't know. We take precedence. Like it was just
Listen,
instantly you brought me into ESPN there for a second, which is hilarious.
it's well, that's exactly what. Anyway, so
But what yeah, what's the Golden Dome?
so the golden dome, the Dome of the Rock, it's called, is a Muslim. It's not a mosque, but it is um, a holy site. I've never been inside there because we Orthodox Jews are very wary about going into the places of the temple while we're in a state of impurity. So we believe
Mm,
that the purity of the temple continues on to this day, and that going in certain areas would be against the law unless we were in a purified state. There's the place where the Dome of the Rock is. It's called the Dome of the Rock because inside of it there is a huge rock in the floor, which we in the Jewish culture believe it's the Evan Shisia, which means the foundation rock. It's the rock that basically God used to create the rest of the world. and it's the one that established the whole world. It's also the place where we believe the Holy of Holies is, and which means that was where the all the there would be basically a room that the head priest in the temple would only was only the only person that was allowed to go in. It was such a holy place. He was only allowed to go in on one day of the year, the holiest day of the year, on Yom Kippur, on the high holiday of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And it was only to go in. He went in a couple of times just to pray for the safety of the Jewish people and for the world. And very powerful processes. It's brought down in some of our tractates exactly what the process was, and very, very cool stuff. Anyway, so that's there at the Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
Um, and I've only seen pictures of it, and it looks like a beautiful building. The building's only been there for about 150, 200 years. Um, and on the other side, if you had a picture of it, there's like a black dome, so that's actually a mosque. It's a little bit further out, but they didn't, so there's two domed buildings there. Um,
Gotcha.
and technically, Israel has control of both, but the Jewish people, because we don't want to incite of violence or riots or whatnot, Jewish people are not allowed when they go up to they are allowed to go up to the Temple Mount itself, but they're not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. Um, Even though it's our holiest site, we're not allowed to go and pray there. So only Muslims are allowed to pray there. Um, and Yeah, and that's a law from the IDF from Israel, to stop violence or riots or whatnot. So that's us proactively, preemptively trying to stop violence. Another proof that Israel is a moral state and trying to.
That's that is wild. Also, all the holy wars are all these area. This is a realm that I am so far removed from knowing anything about, being able to speak on anything. But I just root for I
Peace.
just I just root for peace and for bullies to get a bully beat down and no bullies and just peace. The underdogs who
Exactly.
should
Listen,
be taken care of,
we
right?
are the people of peace.
Yeah.
It may seem counter to that, but the IDF is the Israeli Defense Force.
Hmm.
I think it's the only country in the world that's a defense force, because we're just trying to defend ourselves and live life,
Yeah.
The greatest defense is a great offense, not gonna lie, but that's, the main part, the main I guess not motto, but the main
Yeah.
way of living of the Israeli military is that it's to defend the people who are living in the state of Israel, and to defend the Jewish people internationally. Also, that's part of what they do.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
I know we're short on time and I want to get wrapped. I want to end this by giving you the floor entirely. First, thank you so much for making the time, spending the time, sharing your wisdom and your experiences. I think
sure,
there's a lot of good takeaways here. I mean, for myself, but hopefully for folks listening as well.
sure.
Um, Big love to Sarah for helping develop the man that is here with us here today.
I'm so lucky to have her in my life. It's true.
And yeah, and I just want to leave this with your personal message to the world. If you had a message that is yours and uniquely yours that you want to just send out to the world, whatever that may be, take whatever amount of time you want right now. It's your clock and let us hear it.
So my message would be that everyone listening to this, get up right now and go do one or two nice things for another person. It could be as small as holding a door open, or they can be as big as, I don't know, donating a car to someone. Whatever you need to do that you're able to do, go and do something nice for someone else. Go and bring positivity in this world, and do something and not just listen to this. If you're just listening to this and you're sitting on your couch and you're literally not taking my words seriously and doing something, you're the one at fault. You got to get up, you got to do something, you got to be active in your life in making the world a better place, because your life is not just your life. Your life is part of the world community, the people that live in this world, and it's all up to you to make the world a better place because I can't do it alone. Anthony can't do it alone. We need everyone together to make the world a better place. So develop yourself, develop your character, and go out and be the best person you could be to make the world the best place it could possibly be.
Amazing. Incredible. I love it. I support it. I double down on that. Go do two nice things.
You're not
Man.
limited to two, by the way. Go do more if you can, like just
Why stop? Just get the streak going. Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Mhm.
Shlomo, I can sit here and make this a long drawn out. Thank you so much, but I know we went a little over time for what I was aiming for. So
We got time. We got time.
go get your buffer in so you're not rushing in. You're being proactive into your next thing.
Yeah, yeah. I already built in the buffer, so we're
Oh,
good.
I love that. I love it. Man, it was enlightening. It was super fun for me. And I think you just whatever it is, whatever of the 612 rules, laws,
13, yeah, 613.
613,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is in there that says like show up, be charismatic as you could possibly be, and just a stunningly fun person to interact with. You absolutely owned each one of those and you crushed it. So
Thank you. That's
good on you.
that's Vaihi charisma. It's not a real commitment. That that'd be great if it was. You should be charismatic. That'd be a great one. No,
Yeah.
I wish that was one. That'd be great. A lot better people in the world.
Seriously though, man, thank you so much. This was super fun, and I do want to go down and I would be honored if you would kind of show me the ropes and I could explore a little bit and be able to experience and get a little bit of a taste,
The
for
invitation is always there. We would love to have you down here in LA, visiting, hanging out. Listen, you
yeah.
can, come hang out. Listen, what's gonna happen? It's gonna be awesome. You can come and inspire people, speak to some of the groups of teens that I interact with about being driven and bringing a positive message. I'm open to it. Listen, I might have to pay you, but listen, the thing.
I wouldn't need pay for that sort of thing. I would gladly take you up on that. So
So
I
fun.
will aim. I'm just getting into the golf season for me. So I'm going to see if I can combine when I have a trip in the area, whether a shoot or a golf event. I'm going to see if I can make that happen. And I'll just extend the trip maybe a day or two. And then,
Yeah, that'd be so fun.
yeah, I'd be happy to go in and
Be
chat and
intense. That's it.
see what we can impart on these teens and bring up the next generation strong.
Be great. Yeah, maybe we'll go find a building and start, driving golf balls off of the building and into the city of LA. I'm sorry, the warning
That
of
is
LA.
a dream. I would love to do that. As long as nobody's really hurt, I would love to do that.
There's got to be a putting green, not a putting green, driving range that's on the roof of a building. I mean,
Yeah.
there is, Top Golf, but it's not.
No, no, no. We're
Like,
talking like helipad on a 60-story building.
yeah, 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 with buildings in front that,
Yeah.
with lots of glass buildings in front.
Yeah.
You get points for every window you break.
And then the window, it's actually job security for window washers and window repairmen. That's the service we're providing.
Well, hopefully there's no windows at the end for them to wash.
That would be so fun. That's like every kid's dream, dude. How fun would that be?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Shlomo, go get on your day, man. Thank you. So much love to you and the family. And man, I just appreciate your support over the years. It's just been lovely. And for you to show up like this, I'm super glad you were up for this, first of
Oh,
all.
absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, yeah. And everyone, please comment and like this video and subscribe to Dynamic Daddy. And what else? You're gonna do your whole outro, but
I
you
love
gotta
it.
do it. Like and subscribe and comment and share and algorithm and
I
YouTube
think
stuff and
I,
things.
I think you're actually Gen Z. I think you
I'm a
are.
millennial, just in case you're wondering.
That's so good. All right, Shlomo, take care, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you so, so much for having me.
See you.